What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I got my man Iccy. What is that? Okay. We back cold as ice. Let's get it. How you feeling?
I'm good. How's everybody doing? Yeah, I'm just doing my thing right now. I guess chilling out this Saturday night, and me and Eagle have a couple things to talk about, and we're here to talk about it.
Yeah,
Hope
man.
y'all are doing good.
There's some good fights that got announced. Showtime had a pretty monstrous schedule. I want to follow up with you. What fights are you looking for the most? Is there one fight that you're looking for the most on that whole Showtime announcement?
Charlo, Derevyanchenko, and Charlo Rosario. Definitely Charlo Derevyanchenko more so though. But I've got a few things to say about Charlo Rosario, and I don't think a few people. Well, I think quite a few people are gonna have a problem with it. Actually,
Spill the beans. Go. What is it? What do you mean? You don't like the fight, Charlo
I
Rosario?
no, I love the fight. I think it's great, but in my opinion, I think because everyone keeps saying, they see Charlo going the distance with Derby, or well, I see the majority of people saying that of Charlo going the distance with Derevyanchenko, or it's going to be in a split decision, or he can't stop Derby, or Derby's going to stop him, yada yada whatever. In my opinion, I think Jermell Charlo's fight with Jason Rosario will be closer, if not harder, or both, than Jermall Charlo versus Sergey Derevyanchenko. Derevyanchenko, sorry.
I don't think that's that controversial. I think I would agree with that. And I think Jermell and Jamal are both great fighters. But Rosario, you see, the thing with boxing is people gotta, if you don't know about a fighter, sometimes you gotta do your homework. And what I've seen from
I
Rosario,
just know that it may not be controversial. I just know people are going to get pissed off at that because he came out of nowhere, whereas Derevyanchenko sort of destroyed and or kind of shattered the image of the invincible Triple G. You know what I'm saying? That people love to think about. And Rosario, you know what I mean? He came out of nowhere. Whatever. He hasn't defended the belt, so they're gonna try and they're like in their minds they're gonna justify. People are gonna take credit away from Jamel regardless. You know what I'm saying? That's how they're gonna
I
justify.
get
Oh, he
what you're
didn't defend the
saying.
belt.
But my thing is this: if I don't know it, I agree with you. But I think that's one of the problems with boxing because there's so many people who they don't do their research on a fighter, so they're only going for the big names. Like if they're like, I ain't heard from this dude, then he's a bum type of attitude. But the thing is, if you look at Rosario and do your research, he's hurt like almost everybody he's fought, even though he hasn't fought the Jermell Charlos of the world and stuff like that. But everybody, if you look at even the fight where he got knocked out, he fought against Charles Lattimore that J-Rock fought. He hurt Lattimore in that fight. And then we obviously seen in the Julian J-Rock fight. So to me, that shows and illustrates that Rosario got cracks. He's not the most defensively minded. He has cracks. And then anytime you're dealing with boxing, you got to look at the stylistic matchup. I think Derevyanchenko is a formidable opponent. No knocking him whatsoever. It's a great fight with Charlo, but I think stylistically what Big Charlo does well and Derevyanchenko is going to make for fireworks, but a different type of fireworks versus Rosario Charlo, they both could get hurt in their type of thing, based on their style matchup. And Rosario, to my opinion, looks pretty big. Like he might even be like Charlo size or bigger, like a half-inch taller or something.
He's three. He's 3 inches taller than Jamel. He's because Jamel
Three?
is 5'11". Yeah,
Oh, he's 6 foot?
Rosario 6'2". Jamel is 5'11".
Icey did his research. See, that's what I'm talking about. So you have to look at the stylistic matchup. He's 6'2". I knew he was pretty
When
big.
that's exactly because I met J Rock in person briefly at Spence Porter. I seen him going into the fight and everything. J Rock is shorter than me. So it's really a wake up call when you meet fighters in person and you see like their actual sizes based on how they look on television with their shirts off and shit. Because with your shirt off, you're always gonna look bigger, especially if you're muscular. You know what I mean? But Rosario towered over J Rock in that fight, and I think I was tweeting you that night. I was tweeting you, and I was like, "Yo, am I tripping or does Rosario look big as hell. Like compared to J-Rock, like he just looked big than a motherfucker. And then of course in the third round, the PBC commentary track was on the same thing. I was like, I knew I wasn't tripping. I knew I was not tripping. So Jermell, yeah, that's going to be very interesting, just because I don't think I've seen. I mean, Harrison was taller than him, but not he didn't have that kind of size advantage over him. 6'2" is a big ass 154 pounder.
The other thing is Harrison, no knock on him, but I don't know if it's power. Harrison's a better boxer with power, but Rosario is more of a maney puncher, and he's sloppier, but he's more of a serious puncher. So just Charlo gotta look to impress. I mean, this is a good fight, man. This is real. I'm really looking forward to it. I had actually seen Rosario fight on some PBC undercards. It didn't, I didn't know who he was at the time. You know what I mean? But if you do your research, Rosario is definitely formidable. And to the people hating, because there's a lot of old media people hating on the fight, but you can't hate because people are saying, why is Charlo fighting a bum? That sounds silly. The man has 2 belts, right? He's a unified champion. So how is he so what is Charlo supposed to do if he wants to become the king of 154 and somebody got 2 belts? That's like, hey, I'm not going to fight Errol Spence and I'm a welterweight. I mean, he got 2 belts. You have to go see Errol to be the man, don't you? And the only difference between Errol and Rosario, not the only difference, I'm not saying they fight alike, but what I'm saying is they both have 2 belts. So Errol just has a bigger profile and a bigger name. So you can't overlook Rosario when he has 2 belts. You have to go see that man to try to corral all the belts in the division. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
Hell yeah, me too, bro. One big thing is and just a quick rundown of a few fights of Rosario's resume. Of course, he lost to Gallimore, who J-Rock beat in a pretty close fight, I want to say, but that was like a boxing. That was more of a chess match than what J-Rock and Rosario had. But then Rosario, for those who rate Sebastian Fundora, I don't know how many of y'all saw this, but he fought Jamonte Clark, and they had a draw. A lot of people think Clark should have won that fight, and it was very close. Clark was kind of hurt towards the end of that fight, but nothing too serious. Whereas Rosario fought Clark, did him dirty, dropped him multiple times, and I think got a unanimous decision. I could be wrong. He also stopped Mark Anthony Hernandez, and I think at the time he was the first and only person. He's the first person to do it. I don't know if he's still the only person to stop Marcos Hernandez, but Marcos Hernandez beat Kevin Newman Jr. on the undercard of Mayweather-McGregor, and was also on the contender, but he got sent home due to a cut above the eye, I think, some type of injury. I think it was something, and they didn't want to send him out there because, there wasn't enough time to heal. They were fighting like week after week or something like that. So his injury wasn't going to heal in time. He had to go home. So Mark Anthony Hernandez did not technically lose on a contender. He got sent home due to an injury.
So you've been doing your research on this. You've been doing your research on this.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not even hard because a few of Rosario's fights are on YouTube. Several, actually.
The guy that Jermell Charlo, he fought Jorge Cota when Tony Harrison pulled out with the injury. They were supposed to fight in the summer. Harrison said he was injured. The guy that was the replacement, he got knocked out by Erickson Lubin, and then Charlo knocked him out. Jorge Cota. Rosario, your boy Rosario, fought him too, and he lost, but it was close. It was like a split decision or something like that. So Cota actually can.
Yeah, he's a dope fighter. I saw that he went several rounds with Lubin. Jermell, you know what I'm saying? That's why I keep hearing people say 147 is the toughest division. I don't know, because 154 is like, if you really want to hold all the marbles there, you gotta be the man. Like Jermell, he got his only loss back. And I said this on Twitter the other day. He got back with the dude that gave him his first loss, and in a fight where I don't think he really won, in my opinion. Whereas in the second fight, I do think he was down in the cards. But if Jermell wins against Rosario and then manages to stay undefeated against several names that are at 154 right now, for example, Brian Castaño, who is the number one contender for the WBO belt right now, and I'd pick Castaño over Teixeira. But if Jermell goes on to fight, Castano, Hurd, Edislani Lada, which I don't think will happen because I think they're boys and whatever, from what I heard. But maybe Lubin again, um, and a few other guys. Like I'd say Jermell might go down as one of the greatest middleweights of all time, if not the greatest. People were like,
You
a
gotta
few
earn
people
your
got on to stuff like that.
keep at 154. That's for sure. And I think it's evident based on the fact that you look at 154 and it's musical chair with the belt. Edislandi Lada, and then he loses to Hurd, and then Hurd loses to J Rock, and then J Rock loses to Rosario, and then Hurd beat Tony Harrison by stoppage, and then Tony Harrison came back, and it was controversial, but he beat Jamel, and then they rescheduled it, and then Jamel got his belt back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's an ever changing.
Hurd beat Lada.
It's like passing
Yeah.
the baton. Like it's like a musical chairs. They're all scrapping. That's what I like. It's really a big kumite or tournament. You know what I mean? Like blood sport. They're all
But then
fighting.
people see that, and then they'll be so quick to say a motherfucker is a bum because they have a certain loss to somebody or stupid shit. Like there are levels in this sport, but just because you don't know about a person or you haven't heard of them or they're not a fucking champion or in the talks to become a champion, that doesn't make them a bum. Like I was in a someone was debating. Now, granted, Darnell Boone is a journeyman. Someone was basically trying to say Willie Monroe wasn't shit because he lost to Darnell Boone. And I'm like, that's fucking Darnell Boone. Like
Yeah,
that's
he
a
got
journeyman that
cracks.
everyone knows about.
That put
Exactly.
that put
You know what I'm
Andre
saying?
Ward down. The great Andre Ward. So
Worse than Kovalev, arguably. So that's not no. That's
nah,
not
he
just
was
no.
more
Like
hurt.
they're
Dre Ward was more hurt versus Darnell Boone for sure.
hell yeah.
Because Kovalev, if you look at it, I was at that fight. The Kovalev fight, he got back up and he smiled at the camera like I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he didn't get buzzed a little bit, but the Kovalev stuff, he laughed. If you watch the Darnell Boone, he like almost his butt like bounced on the canvas like he was like hurt. You
I
know?
remember, yeah, and then he got up and was like, you could tell Dre was on high alert. I mean, he was both times, but the Boone fight, it was like, oh shit. But yeah, people got to stop with the this person's a bum because whatever. I know a pro fighter. I'm not gonna put his name out there, but I said, how do you think he fights at 154? And he's been with PBC, whatever. He's worked with some of those guys, and he's real familiar with a few of them. But I said, oh, how do you think he's gonna do, or how do you think Rosario's gonna do against J Rock? Straight up, he's like, man, Jared's gonna beat him. That guy's a fucking bum. He was talking about Rosario, and I was like, damn, this is coming from a dude that's fought a lot of these notable dudes at elite level. He's worked with them. He's whatever. So I was like, damn, he's saying that about Rosario, and then
And to
Rosario
keep
got
it
in and
real,
knocked Jared the fuck out.
there's a lot of people that like pro trainers, pro fighters, they don't really keep up with boxing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I've noticed it where like they'll keep up with maybe their division and stuff like that. But like I noticed it as like a YouTuber where some people will just say like all their fight, like they'll be pro fighters. Every fight prediction they do is wrong. You know what I'm saying? For probably different reasons, friendships and different stuff. And then you look at someone like me, just a YouTuber, and my prediction streak be crazy. So I think there's a lot of fighters who they don't really even because boxing is their life. There's some fighters that don't keep up with boxing. There's people like you, Terrence Crawford, Joey Spencer. I can attest to that. You guys watch boxing, like you know what I'm saying. But there's some fighters that they box, and since it's their life, they don't always keep up with the who's who and the ins and out. So I guess for some people, it's easy to say Rosario's a bum or whatever because they never seen him. But I think what hurt J Rock was he fought Rosario like he fought Hurd, but Rosario wasn't Hurd. They were both big, and neither one has a crazy defense, but there were little subtle differences that made Rosario just a different threat level than a Hurd. They had similarities like lack of defense, big dudes, but their style of fight was a little bit different. Like I was seeing Rosario go to the body, just little subtle, sharper punches. Like his punches seem a bit shorter and stuff. So little differences there. And then that,
Rosario, in my opinion, is better at fighting tall too, just from what I was seeing from the fight with J Rock.
yeah, I don't
But
think
you're
he's as
right, bro.
wide.
Like
I don't think he's as wide either. I think Hurd is a little bit like like kind of wider.
Oh hell yeah. Heard's back is huge. Like he that motherfucker got wings down there. But you're right, bro. A lot of pros. I have pro friends. I have high level amateur like buddies and stuff like that I've talked to, whatever. A lot of them don't watch as much boxing as me, and so sometimes I'll say something and I think like I'm tripping, and I'm like, no, like this is really like how I feel. And it, but and then they'll tell me, oh, well, I don't really watch it like that. I'm like, well, no fucking wonder. I had to tell a sparring partner of mine, good ass dude, man, dope. He's got like 24 amateur fights. Hits hard as hell. Real lanky, tall guy. Has awkward kind of style, but he's got long arms and shit. Hits hard that motherfucker. And he's gonna probably debut at 168 at light heavyweight, but he was asking me about like just certain things I'll do in the ring and stuff. And he's real like in sync with his pops. That's his coach. And so I said, bro, it's a good thing you listen to your dad and stuff like that and things like that or whatever. It's good to be in touch with your coach like that and have that relationship. But I was like, you gotta watch the sport outside of that. Like he straight up said, outside of listening to his dad about what to do and like teaching him boxing, he said he don't watch boxing really. I was like, you have to watch it, bro, because there are things that your dad is not going to tell you that you might want to add to your game or learn how to do that are things that they just might not necessarily teach you. Like I've learned shit on my own and then I've taken it back to my coach and showed him something and he'll work with that and refine it, change it, whatever, and add what he likes to it. You know what I'm saying? Like my coach has never told me fuck doing this, like unless it's just like something stupid. But my coach has never said to me, "Yeah, don't look at this guy, whatever." In fact, my coach would give me homework. He'd be like, "I want you to watch this fight, and then I want you to practice that in the gym on this day and whatever." And I'll be like, "All right, cool." But even outside of that, I still watch it. So for every fighter out there, young fighter, I know I'm going on a tangent. Please watch the sport. Don't just copy everybody. Don't stick to one guy and copy and shit, but take from people that you like, add that to your game, listen to your coach, of course, but please study the sport outside of just being in the gym. It is very important.
I was surprised how many people, when I got into boxing, like I've always watched boxing and stuff, but when I started getting into the gyms more and covering fights, I was surprised. You got to understand, some of these fighters come from poverty or impoverished areas and stuff, gangs, whatever. So they fight because they can, just because it's something they can make money and they're good at it. So some people have different levels of passion. They like, I never really had a job. I just been boxing and I know how to fight, so I do it. But some people don't have the passion. Some people are truly passionate where they, like Terrence Crawford. I see him on Twitter every big fight. He's like paying attention, like even outside of his division. But there's a lot of people that they just fight because they know how to. It pays the bills and they're good at it. So they do that and stuff like that. But other thing is Floyd Mayweather, I think, popularized certain things. Like when Floyd would be on All Access, he would always say that he doesn't watch people's tape. Like Victor Ortiz, I don't watch his tape, and a lot of people, they bite off of Floyd. So they think it's cool to not watch tape. But realistically, Floyd is smarter than a lot of other fighters in terms of ring IQ. He really probably is watching tape. I know he's watching tape.
Yeah,
But he'll
I
just
doubt
tell people.
Floyd was never seen Victor Ortiz before.
That's what I'm saying. He's telling people he's not watching. So it looks cool and looks braggadocious, but he's watching the tape of these. He's too good. Like Floyd is too. He
Floyd
knows
is a big ass troll, man.
yeah, he knows your every move and computes the data. So he was watching tape when he's saying, "Oh, I just get in there and make adjustments." Canelo, I never really seen him fight. That kid, Floyd be watching tapes. So Floyd is so influential, people try to emulate that. But watch tape. If you're a fighter, watch tape of fighters and, study the game. Watch the legends, and then I think you have an appreciation for it.
Hell yeah. I was gonna say to add on to your Floyd thing. I remember one thing Floyd used to do, like preparing for his fights and stuff. Two things. He would talk about how much junk food he ate. Like he'd be like, "I eat pizza, I eat burgers, I eat hot dogs. They still can't fuck with me." Or he would like eat fries and shit on camera. I remember I seen on one. I think it was a 24/7. And I'm like, man. Or people would be like, "Man, Floyd just eats whatever." Da da da. And I'm like, I'm sure he might, indulge sometimes, but you'd be stupid to think the motherfucker don't have a personal chef. And then he would put out a lot of videos of him working out, but it would be like at the end. So he'd look real fatigued. And then motherfuckers in the comments is talking about, oh, damn, Floyd look out of shape. He getting older. He missing a step. I'm like, you dumbasses. Like, y'all don't see what he's doing.
Floyd show you what he wants you to see, point blank, period. If he don't want you to see it, because I've been in the Mayweather gym several times. There's no taping of, you can't just be anybody in there willy nilly just taping and stuff. Sparring, you can't tape that, So he just shows you what he wants to see. So Floyd definitely the GOAT. Listen, I gotta switch gears too. So you like the Charlo
For
Rosario
sure.
fight? You like it?
Absolutely.
And you think that could be a more evenly matched, tougher fight than Charlo Derevyanchenko? That's your statement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
100%.
since we're talking about legends, I got to talk to you about Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. They just announced that they're going to be doing an exhibition shakeout. They're saying it's not a full-fledged fight. Do you think a full fight could break out? And what are your thoughts? Because Mike Tyson has a history of saying like out of pocket, crazy stuff. Like, come and say that to my face in front of everybody. Saying, "Oh, I'm trying to censor it as I say it." But do you think, even though it's an exhibition, he bit Holyfield's ear? Do you think a real fight could break out based on the temperament, like something to prove, or are you just looking for, just a basic exhibition? And your thoughts on it?
Um, this is a weird thing for me, but I'd say, yeah, I think there's that possibility because Roy Jones is Roy Jones and Mike Tyson is Mike Tyson. Mike is a different Mike Tyson than he was, but Roy Jones is still like Roy seemed like he'll pop off on you any second, just go off whatever. Mike too to some degree, but he's much calmer than he was back in those days for sure. He's a changed man, I'd say. But being in that mode, like putting you in that mode, that mind state, bring you back to your old ways. That could happen. It's a big possibility, in my opinion. Um, I think this fight though is going to be something. It's an exhibition, so if it goes the way that it's looking like it might go, it's just like a friendly exhibition, some kind of rivalry, whatever. It's going to be something that a lot of people are going to bitch and complain about and say, man, it was a waste of money. What the fuck I waste my time on that shit? I'm like, well, what did you expect? Because at the end of the day, it's two 50-something-year-old dudes in the ring. You know what I'm saying? They don't do this for a living anymore. Mike, from what I remember a few years ago, said he didn't even train how he used to because he said it brought back too many bad memories. So I don't know if that's changed or if that's fueling him or what, but I think it's interesting. I'll watch it, if I'm just not busy or something like that, because it's boxing and it's fucking Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. But
I think the whole
yeah,
thing
it's
I think it's big just because it got picked up by it's Mike Tyson. We've seen him training for weeks, and now we know why he's training. He has to get that off his chest. Sports Center, Instagram picked it up. I seen it on World Star. So it's just bringing kind of a different audience that, like a casual audience as well. You know what I mean? They're putting it on an app, things of this sort. So,
Did you
um,
hear about Bare Knuckle Fight League offering Mike some crazy contract and he turned it down?
he probably already had this lineup. They said they bid over $50 million for the rights to this fight to air it. So, he's probably making a pretty penny. And he's not a bare knuckle fighter. That's a whole different, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
not everyone's, some people have brittle hands and stuff like.
Technical difficulties, I guess, for a second, y'all.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What happened?
Oh, man, my shit started ringing hella loud. My phone.
Oh,
So and then
I,
I try to mute it, and then that shit got stuck. You can hear me? I'm just gonna cut this
mhm.
part out. I'm gonna cut this part out.
Yeah, I figured.
Um,
But Mike
Hold on. What
is
were we saying before? Because I'm gonna cut all this part out.
fuck. Just that how they cashed out on him. Basically, they spent 50 million on him, and I think you were gonna go into how it's probably gonna overshadow some other events or segue into that
Yeah, I
maybe.
was definitely gonna. Okay, so you basically said what about the Mike
Yeah, I
Tyson?
was saying bare
Oh,
knuckle.
they offered
So
him
bare knuckle
50
fight league
million. Yeah,
apparently offered him 20 million, and he turned it down. And at first, I was like, oh, I guess Mike is just trying to stay in shape or whatever, get clout for boxing again. And then the Roy Jones fight got announced. So I was like, oh shit, okay, he's doing something with it.
yeah. I
And you
just
were
think
saying, yeah,
I think it just taps into a whole different audience. You know what I'm saying? Like you got some boxing fans that are going to be curious about it just because it's legends. Roy Jones. I mean, those are two of my favorite fighters personally, like of all time. So you got that audience, and then they're putting like Jake Paul and an NBA player. So you could possibly have like just sports fans and YouTube influencer. I just think it's a weird fight. So I think it. You know, I see what they're trying to do. And the funny thing is, like, old media, when Floyd fought McGregor, they said it was the worst thing ever. But then when Jake Paul fought Innocent Gibb and Logan Paul fought on DAZN with KSI in the rematch, people said they loved it. And now some of those same people are have questions and doubts and all types of stuff about Mike Tyson, Roy Jones. I look at it like this: at least Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, although they're at an advanced age, they're still fighters to the death. You know what I'm saying? They gave their whole life to boxing, so I think it's a at least the main event is two fighters. You see what I'm saying? They just hope nobody get hurt or something like that. What do you
yeah. At the
think?
end of the day, I was just gonna say, if you're a fighter, like it's just that part of you is always gonna stick with you. I just hope no one gets hurt. That's all,
Yeah, definitely.
and they have fun.
What is your thoughts? Here's the other calamity that this Mike Tyson and Roy Jones announcement has created is Canelo and Golden Boy said that they wanted the quote unquote Mexican date, so they were targeting that September 12th date, but then out of nowhere, this fight came out, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., and like I said, it's tapped into that casual market. What does this mean for Canelo? Do you see Canelo Alvarez keeping that September 12th date with the options that he's rumored to fight?
You know what? I would hope not, just because I don't think it's a good idea. But knowing the zone, I wouldn't put it past them because Dana White in the UFC warned them not to put fucking Canelo Kovalev on the same night as Masvidal Nick Diaz, and they did the shit anyway. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Bars.
UFC. What's up?
I said bars. That's true. Everything you said was factual.
Oh, my fault. Yeah, they Dana White, he did them a solid. He was like, hey, don't do that. Is our date, whatever. And it's business world at the end of the day. He didn't have to do that. He could have totally sabotaged, like pulled the rug out from under them. Dana White don't even have a good relationship with like Golden Boy and them. You know what I mean? He didn't have to do any of that shit, but he did it just as a kindness, as a courtesy. And um, the second thing is he decided to, well, Eddie Hearn or DAZN, I don't know exactly who, but they decided to put the shit on that day anyway. So then when Dana White decided, or when the fight happened, they end up stalling the main event, as everyone remembers, sorry. And it was a big ass fiasco. I remember I was in LA at the time, right? That's how I live out there for those who don't know. Bro, I don't think Canelo's fight was done until like 1 a.m. or some shit
It
like that. Maybe
started. It
1:30.
started real late, and actually, the zone had a card yesterday with Virgil Ortiz Jr., and that didn't start on East Coast time until like 11. It was like 11 o'clock. So the zone has some notoriously weird start and stop times. So you don't think Canelo should keep the date, but you're unsure of the zone. Who could Canelo fight that competes with Mike Tyson, Roy Jones? Like, oh, let me rephrase it: a realistic fight, not like him versus Charlo because they already have fights scheduled. Like, what's a realistic fight Canelo can have that you think would more eyes would be watching Canelo? Because they said he's the face of boxing, but I have questions about Canelo's star power since joining DAZN. So what fight can he do that competes with Mike Tyson, Roy Jones on a separate app? Triller. Realistic fights though.
Probably. I mean, just because the fans have been clamoring for it for a while. We need an Alfredo and Gulo rematch. That's what we really need to
Go
see.
to hell. What about Jason Quigley? Canelo, Jason Quigley, can that compete?
Hell no,
Why not?
bro. Who is? I mean,
All right, John Ryder. What about John Ryder? You feeling that?
no.
So that can't compete with a 50-year-old Mike, 54-year-old Mike?
It's Mike Tyson and Roy Jones at the end of the day. It's
Well,
like
what about
that's
Canelo,
not
Caleb Smith?
no.
Why? Why? What about Canelo
Canelo
versus
is
Billy Joe Saunders? If they somehow got that done,
no,
it's not messing with Mike and Roy.
no. In my opinion, didn't okay. So Triller spent $50 million on this thing, right?
Yeah,
Securing this
yeah.
whole thing.
Over 50. Yeah.
Okay, so over $50 million. They have 100. Their app has been downloaded over 120 something million times, right? And they have 50 million active users each month. Correct? Something shit like that. You broke it down in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
video,
Yeah, that's what they're
bro.
saying.
So you mean to tell me? And now I don't know how much this event is going to cost, but apparently it's pay-per-view, whatever. But even so, you mean to tell me that for every dollar they spent, they've got one active user on the fucking thing a month. So even if they're not buying the pay-per-view, even if not every person is buying the pay-per-view, and let's be honest, the 50 million people probably not going to, but that's still 50 million people that are going to be seeing advertising constantly, shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
DAZN doesn't advertise shit. I've never seen a DAZN advertisement outside of the fucking DAZN app.
And the other thing is the Triller app, they're doing a 10-part Roy Jones, Mike Tyson series from a certain release date, and they're doing 2 a week up until fight week. So, you have 10 parts, two a week. So they're putting some money into the promotion. That's a good point that you said about DAZN, lack of promotion. Like Virgil Ortiz, did you see any, not just like a Twitter post, an Instagram post, like actual billboards, or commercials, or getting somebody on a talk show? It's like it's going to be hard to gravitate people to your app without spending some money. It takes money to make money, you know what I'm saying? Like, how is Triller able to do this one-off Mike Tyson exhibition and do a 10-part series, but then they keep saying Virgil Ortiz Jr. is the face of boxing, but they didn't really advertise the card. You know what I mean? And then Canelo's
I
fight,
didn't
he keeps waiting.
remember, and I like Virgil.
Yeah.
I didn't remember he was fighting until a few hours before his fight.
And the thing is, to me, the way I look at it is like Canelo, he's at the top of the totem pole with Golden Boy. So if his fight ain't even situated 6 weeks out, and then now Mike Tyson and Roy Jones plotted on that date, and they're already greenlit and announced, that's trouble because you're the top of the totem, but you Canelo. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how is he not situated? And then you look just underneath him in terms of popularity with Golden Boy, Ryan Garcia. When's he fighting next? Where's the Luke Campbell fight? So promotion is definitely lacking, in my opinion.
Yeah, hearing about their woes, honestly, like in articles and whatnot that are being covered and shit, it gives me like, I'm like, God damn, like how do y'all? I don't know how these dudes. I mean, I don't know what's going through their minds, but when you see them in public, they look very calm. Specifically in, like Eddie Hearn and shit. They don't look like they are worried about anything, and it's crazy because
Well, I think Eddie Hearn
Canelo and
has a
Brody.
contingency plan. He has something he could fall back on, which is the UK. So whether DAZN face plants in America or whatever, he still has deals with Sky Sports in the UK that might back him. So he's kind of a double agent in that regard. Is if DAZN if it went belly up, he could still bounce back to the UK and do Sky Sports shows like he's kind of doing with the garden shows, the Eddie's Garden, Kimbo Slice backyard joints.
Low key a triple agent because he had AJ and them on Showtime before the
Ooh,
zone.
bars. He kind of
So
snaked
Hearn
Showtime.
is
He snaked Showtime. And then he tried to snake Sky Sports, didn't he? because Sky
The
Sports
Zone UK is supposed to be launching with
exactly.
what? Some shit.
Yeah,
I can't remember,
it was supposed to
but
be
soon.
Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders. So that's what I'm saying. He kind of snaked Showtime's. Showtime had done a good job building Anthony Joshua and giving him all the coverage that they could, and then out of nowhere he said, "I'm doing DAZN," and then he started bashing Steven Espinoza and saying he's gonna be out of business and pack your bags and all American Takeover, and then he tried to do that to Sky Sports basically, saying, "Hey, we're doing DAZN UK." So now certain fights are no longer going to be accessible from Sky Sports box office because you got to get a separate app, DAZN UK. So that looks kind of fishy to me.
My thing, like when I got the Zone, I figured, of course, it was gonna be certain exclusive stuff like Golden Boy or just Matchroom in general, because I know American fighters are signed to Matchroom, and more are being signed to Matchroom. But originally, I got the Zone because I was interested in the UK boxing scene, and I still am to some extent, just not as much as I was before. But my thing is like, they had Sky Sports, so what the hell did they need the Zone for? I was just like, okay, so Sky Sports is just gonna be on his own. But now it's like Hearn is trying to like almost give like take back what he said, or you know what I'm saying, like redo the deal, or just straight up just get rid of what they already had in place as far as him and Sky Sports. It just doesn't make any sense. Like I almost thought the Zone was like an extension, not an extension, but working with Sky Sports. Whereas now it's just, he's trying to take them out of the equation completely to me, which it doesn't make sense in my
Yeah, that's
opinion.
kind of
But
crazy.
whatever.
Now, I knew that they weren't in cahoots because, you know, the zone's based out of the UK and Sky Sports is based out of the UK. And especially during times of need and times of pandemic, like right now, is it's every man for themselves. You know what I mean? So Sky Sports, they're not looking after the success of the zone. They got to keep their own ship afloat. Vice versa with the zone. DAZN and Golden Boy, since we're speaking of DAZN, they got a bad rap for the Sinicia Estrada knockout. It was a 7-second knockout. Shout out to Sinicia Superbad Estrada. She didn't do anything wrong. She didn't book the match or anything, but she went out and obliterated this girl in record-breaking time, 7 seconds, and the girl just got clapped up silly. And people are mad because they announced the girl as 5-0, 5 knockouts, and then they said the girl, made it look like she was undefeated somebody, but more information came out and people did the research, and she's 5-0 because her husband was a promoter in Kansas and he put her on some club level fights against people on the streets. Like, so if you go to her box rec, 4 of her 5 people she fought were on her pro debut. And actually the fifth girl was a rematch. You see what I'm saying? So basically everyone she fought was a pro debut except for the rematch, and then that was the other girl's second fight. So, and she's 42. She's actually going to be 43 years old in 3 days. So, what did you think of that? I know you've seen the knockout. What did you think of it? And what is it?
I'm not.
Does it help women's boxing?
I mean, maybe, but as far as like, I'm laughing not at her necessarily and her record and shit, but it was like I heard about it and then I seen it. And I was like, what the fuck? And I didn't even know it was all that. Like her husband being a promoter and getting people off the street and shit. At first, when you're making your pro debuts against people, or when you're fighting against people that are making their pro debut, it's like, oh. But yeah, that's crazy. Does it help women's boxing or hurt it? I don't know. Maybe both. It's bringing more attention to women's boxing, and
Well, Sinicia Estrada's a champion. So I think that's probably the biggest thing because she's 18-0 now. So she entered the fight 17-0, and she just beat Marlon Esparza, who's a amateur standout and U.S. Olympian. So how do you go from a U.S. Olympian on a Canelo undercard, 17 fights, and then you're fighting a club level fighter whose husband hooked her up with the record? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, again, this is no knock on Sinicia. I've actually followed her career for a while, and I respect what she does. I think she's a good fighter, but I think the state commission, Golden Boy and DAZN, I don't even see how this got to the level of being on the desk. Sinisi is trying to get her paycheck and get ring rust off, so I can't knock her. But the powers that be, I don't know if they should have made the fight with a 42-year-old.
Yeah, matter of fact, what state was this in? What commission allowed
Cali,
this? Because I'm thinking,
California.
what the hell, really? Because
I
even like
guess it happened.
weren't wasn't wasn't the California Commission the same one who? Now I know women's boxing is different as far as fight records and shit like that. They could be deceiving sometimes, but Clarissa Shields she made her pro debut against Franchon Cruz, right? Am I wrong? No, I think
That was on the World Kovalev card. Yeah.
okay. So she made her pro debut against Franchon Cruz, but Clarissa Shields is a two-time Olympic gold medalist. So she has a proven track record. Like she came in
And she
there
beat her in the
knowing what she was
amateurs,
doing.
Franchon Cruz.
Oh, well then,
I'm
yeah,
pretty sure. Don't you guys can fact check me, but I'm pretty sure Clarissa Shields had already fought and beaten Franchon Cruz Dezern as AMs. So
ain't the Cali Commission the same commission that turned down Triple G's request to fight Jaime Munguia when
yeah,
when
I think
Canelo was suspended?
I said that in my video. It was either Nevada or it was California. I don't remember which one. I think it was Nevada though. But still, this shows why boxing needs an overall jurisdiction or governing body. Because how did they turn down a 20-year-old Jaime Munguia? He at least has a puncher's chance versus Triple G. Triple G don't
Who
have
had
no.
a bunch of fights.
Yeah, he don't have a Triple G. He doesn't have no legendary resume to me. And Jaime Munguia's looked pretty durable. He's not the most defensive minded, but I mean certainly if that got turned down, then I don't see how this fight got approved. So
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Like,
I don't know.
I just had in my head. I'm like, I know they take a look at these people's histories and stuff.
Okay, I gotta
So
ask you, what are your thoughts on the pandemic matches thus far to this point? Have you seen any crazy fights? Like, how does it feel to be a boxing fan from March when boxing got shut down to right now? Have you enjoyed boxing?
not like I wanted to. I've dabbled at the ESPN cards from time to time, and those are cool, but not what I want to see. I do like the fact that Top Rank is kind of taking advantage of the moment. Um, things are not happening the way they want them to, and just a bunch of unfortunate shit is going on. But they are using this time to shine a lot of light on some of their prospects, or a lot of their prospects actually. So I thought that was cool. Like I've named several prospects, or I've heard about several prospects, and every time one of them had a fight coming up or was supposed to fight, I knew about it. You know what I mean? Whereas with Golden Boy, like I said, I didn't even remember Virgil Ortiz was fighting until a few hours before it was supposed to happen. But I knew Shakur was going to be fighting. I knew Jared Anderson was going to be fighting. Edgar Berlanga, I'd heard about, but I forgot about. You know what I mean? And then everyone was talking about him. I heard about him. And a few other people like Michaela Mayer, I think it was. I've heard of her, knew when she was fighting, things like that. So I commend them for that, but I do want better matchups.
My opinion,
Josue Vargas too.
my opinion, I actually disagree with you. Like to me, I think the pandemic matches hurts boxing. Like when they're low level, I just feel boxing is such a niche sport, however you want to say it, such a niche sport that there's only a certain amount of concentrated boxing fans, and if they are checked out of these fights, then it's hard to keep boxing kind of afloat. Do you see what I'm saying? Because they're definitely not casuals coming from that don't watch boxing regularly checking out a lot of these, and that's evident by the numbers, the viewership numbers. So I would have preferred actually.
Yeah, they're really low actually, huh?
They're all in the same like rank, like all the top ranked cards have mostly done 300, 350,000. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you said that it gives prospects a chance. I would have preferred boxing. I feel the same way with the mask. I would rather in like the stay at home orders. I'd rather everybody be as protective and cautious as possible so we can hurry up and get through this. You know what I'm saying? So if everyone needs to stay home for the first 3 months to get the numbers down instead of going out and close everything, then that's what I would prefer. So I would have preferred that from boxing too. instead of rushing back and having all these hiccups and fights getting canceled and drug test fails and COVID failed. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot, especially with Top Rank schedule and even Golden Boy. Maybe like get all your ducks in a row and come back strong, because a lot of, from what I've seen, and I feel like I have a good social media reach and impressions and insight. A lot of people are kind of checked out of boxing right now and talking about UFC and stuff because they haven't found those marquee matches. So me, I'm thankful that Showtime came out with this schedule, to be honest, because these are the matches. A lot of these matches I'm actually checking for. You know, I think even in the pandemic, I understand the live crowd, but at the end of the day, we're all in the pandemic. Fans just want to see content. You know what I mean? So if you're just putting on content like Canelo versus Quigley, what does that really do? We know Canelo's a beast. You know what I'm saying? What does that do to Canelo's resume if he beats another Quigley, another Rocky Fielding? You see what I'm saying? So I think that actually hurts you more than helps. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I just thought it was cool that they were getting, I guess, more shine. I don't know. It would be better if everything was just full blast and they had waited and whatnot. I feel like, but because they did have people testing positive for shit, and then other people getting injured repeatedly, and that wasn't
See,
a
but
good look in my
aside
opinion.
from that, is like people had half camps and stuff, and like if you look at the Top Rank, they were I'm using them because they were the first ones back. They had a lot of upsets. Maloney lost. One of the Maloney brothers lost. Greer, the one that carried a pillow, he lost again. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
So it's
Joshua
like,
Greer.
yeah, a lot of the prospects got an opportunity to main event, but some of them end up losing. You know what I mean? But if they had a little bit more time to train and what I'm saying, stuff like that, who knows if they would have lost. So now that's a setback from them. Gerald Miller never came back because he failed a drug test. So a replacement match was ordered. Main events got canceled, dealing with all the failed tests and stuff, and then elevating main event. I just feel like it was a bad. It's kind of a bad run trying to get all the ducks in a row, and I don't know how much that benefits the growth of boxing and keeps people tapped in. I think the UFC's done a great job on ESPN with trying to make, like, they got the Whitaker Till fight today. Francis Ngannou's been back. Amanda Nunes been back. Masvidal, late terms. You know what I mean? I think for that genre, those are fan friendly fights that UFC fans probably want to see. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion, but we can agree to disagree. Iccy.
I feel you. I mean, yeah, nah, I don't like. You're not saying nothing
Too
that
crazy?
don't make sense. Yeah, nothing crazy at all. I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I just want to
You
see
know,
I want to see fighters shine in the max way. You know what I mean? So if the card's
in the
falling
best way.
apart,
Yeah, I
yeah,
feel you.
if the card's falling apart or is not being seen by, like, ESPN has 90 million, like something crazy, like 90 million. They're in 90 million homes. I feel like the numbers should be stronger. And then, like, I'm looking at Dana White and he roasting Bob Arum, talking crazy, talking crap, saying your numbers are bad. So that makes boxing look bad. So to me, I don't know. I would just rather well put together matches, like even in a pandemic, take the extra time to figure out people's budget, as opposed to just like mismatches. I don't really feel like that grows the sport. And I think,
Yeah,
like, okay, here's an example for you, Icy. Have you heard about fighters should take a pay cut?
yeah. The main one being Canelo is the biggest
Yeah, but there's a lot of
controversy.
people you heard about. Hey, they want Chocolatito or Casamero or whoever to take
I
a
heard
pay
about
cut.
Chocolatito. Yeah,
Yeah, they want people to take a pay cut. Billy Joe Saunders take a pay cut, but we don't hear about the networks taking a pay cut. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey,
well,
instead of,
Billy Joe Saunders is a fucking. Never mind. Keep going.
I'm just saying that it's like they want people want the fighters to take a pay cut, but the networks want to get max dollar. You know what I'm saying? The promoters want to get max dollar. That nobody's taking a pay cut, but I don't know. I just feel people are going to be tuned out unless there's fights they want to see, pandemic or not.
Oh man, people are tripping about the pay per views. on Showtime, and I'm like, y'all are
That's
just
hate though, because
whiny.
I don't mind paying if it's something that's a good fight. That's just the structure. And it really, DAZN is like a baby pay-per-view. If you wanted to watch Virgil Ortiz yesterday, you had to pay $20 for that, right? What else? What other fight? And then some of the smaller Eddie Hearn cards. So that's what you're getting. You're getting,
The undercard was not worth it either. Like usually when I get a pay per view, I'm looking forward to most fights on the card. Like
yeah. They
if I'm
had,
buying a pay per view, I can tell you, like if I see a paper like a PBC pay per view, oh Luis Nevi's gonna be on that hole, and then Jordanis you guys versus this motherfucker, and
or
then you
like
know what I'm saying?
Mikey
Like I could
Garcia,
tell you
Robert
about the end of
Easter
it.
with Luis King Kong Ortiz. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
King Kong on that.
Um.
Or David Benavidez, Anthony Durrell on the Errol Spence versus Sean Porter card. So you're anticipating. You guys fought on the Pacquiao Thurman.
Yeah. The Charlo doubleheader. Number one, that's Charlo doubleheader. So
Man,
yeah,
and they're
that's
both
already.
competitive fight. Yeah, that's crazy. That's just hate, bro. That's
And
it. We don't
then
even have to give them too many words on that. That's just people hating.
yeah.
Because, like like I said, if you wanted Virgil Ortiz's fight, you would have had to pay for that card, where the co-feature got canceled the day before with Tanadea and Mercita Hesta. I don't know if you heard about that. So Shane
I
Mosley got
did. And then
elevated.
Shane Mosley Jr. got elevated to the
Yeah,
or the co-main,
so you would have
and
paid
people were
$20, and
pissed.
then the night before they canceled the co-feature and elevated Shane Mosley. Every fight except for Virgil Ortiz and Estrada went to distance. Those are the only. There was two knockouts out of several fights, whatever, however many fights, and it was Virgil Ortiz and Samuel Vargas, and then this 42-year-old lady versus Estrada. So
With people that we don't know about. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like Mario Barrios is fighting in a dope fight on the Charlo double
dope,
header
and
under.
it's a title defense.
Yeah, that's fucking raw as hell. I want to see Mario's improvements off of that last fight, especially.
Yeah,
And
that's my guy. His eye was looking like crazy at the end because
bro,
that dude was
I
like
was
pressured.
right there at the time. Like me and Rolly was so we were in other people's seats because before they showed up, right? But I'm gonna tell anyone who's never been to a real boxing match before, the closer you get, like it's not like on television. When you are there and you're close, the intensity, just the grittiness, the visceral environment that you're in becomes so much more apparent. Like I've been to real boxing matches before, several, but not that close. Like me and Rolly were literally like 15, maybe not even that far feet away from the ring, bro. And I was watching the fight. I like Mario. He's a dope fighter, Mario Barrios. Shout out to San Antonio. But when he like when he was starting to get tagged and his eyes started swelling up and shit, you can see the sweat flying off dudes, and I was just like, damn. I was like, cause I'll watch a fight on TV and I'll be like, oh shit. But watching it there, bro, it was crazy. I was like, shit. Like, yo,
And he got a 12-round knockdown, didn't he? In the final round, didn't he knock the dude down?
yes, and that's
So the
what people
fight, some people said it was controversial, but I think the dude getting dropped twice, that just sewed it up for him. He had a hell of an
say
effort though,
this.
hell of an effort.
I've said it before and I'll said it again. People think that just because boxing is like a fight, that there's no real way that
They
it
don't.
doesn't have scoring.
You know what it is? That I was just about to say that. That's exactly what it is. People watch boxing off emotion and visually, but they don't. Some people don't even know how to score it. They don't even score like Wilder Fury is a great example of this. Wilder had two knockdowns in the first fight. That's two 10-8 rounds. So that means Wilder, to get a draw, he only would have had to win some of the first 4 rounds. You know what I mean? Just to score a draw. And depending on how many of those first 4 you gave to Wilder, that means he won. You know what I'm saying? If you gave him a certain amount. And Fury wasn't really doing that much work in the first 4 rounds. He was feinting a lot and, moving and all that. So if you score that fight, I could see how it got a draw. Because Wilder definitely didn't lose the first 4 rounds 4-0. You know what I mean? Even in the second
Exactly.
even in the second round, Wilder outlanded Fury. So how did he lose the second round? He outthrew
Exactly.
and outlanded. So you have to at least give him that, and then that plus 2 knockdowns. Do the math on a 12-round fight. You know.
But I've rewatched that fight. I don't even think
Yeah,
I'll
you
save
told me
my
when they
thoughts for
did it,
that
when
on
they
another
premiered it.
video.
Yeah, we'll
But
save that because I'm sure when they fight
as
again, we'll
far
talk
as the
about
Mario Barrios thing, and I watched it live, clear as day. He won, I think, the first 3 rounds, and then the next round he got
it. It
was a
wasn't
knock. Was the round
controversial
where he
like
scored a knock.
people. Again, that's emotion from people. It wasn't
Yeah, and
because
then
I think
you
the
score
knockdown
another
sold it.
knockdown at the end, and you fucking that's it.
Yeah, that's it. You 2 10-8 rounds. You shouldn't have got knocked down. Now, what do you think
And
of
rounds where you lost previously, like yeah,
what do you think of Rolly getting a title opportunity for an interim title? I was happy to see that because I know he's
man.
been working for a while trying to get noticed. Hey, his opponent's undefeated though, ain't it? Ain't he fighting someone undefeated?
Jackson
Rolando
Jackson
Rolly
Mar
Romero. He's doing the interim. I'm just saying that so the people watching.
Jackson.
Do you
Yeah,
know anything about his
uh,
opponent?
I couldn't find much on him. There's a fight on YouTube. It's a 40-minute fight, full fight against some dude named
What was he
Romelo
looking
or
like? That's
some
what I
shit.
care about.
I couldn't even find much footage on his training, but he seems to be very solid.
Is he bigger than
He's
Rolly?
not.
From what you can see,
Yes, he's taller, longer.
he ain't got more
Um,
cracks than Rolly.
Man, fuck no. You could say that. You see that off his record, man.
Oh,
But
okay.
so this is Dominican dude, and stereotype or not, Dominicans don't play in boxing, so
Yeah, a
this
lot of
this is gonna be a
Dominican
good
dudes don't.
fight.
Yeah, I'm looking
Um,
forward to it.
but hell yeah, I'm back in. Listen, Rolly's my boy. You know what I'm saying? That's who I got. I'm pushing 100%. On August 15th, he will be the new WBA interim champ at 135 pounds. Y'all gonna see it. And
We gonna see.
ESPN, y'all gonna run or revise y'all's damn top 25 list.
Hey, you know what's a problem? You know what's a problem with Rolly right now? He's a problem because I was looking at it. I'm gonna make a video about it, but he's working with Larry Wade, and I seen he was 6 packed up. I was like, okay, okay, Rolly.
Bro,
Nah,
when I
Larry
seen
Wade. That's
that, I was
Larry
like,
Wade's my
oh,
dude, bro. Shout out
shit.
to Larry Wade. Larry Wade be having dudes ready. Caleb Plant. You seen Luis Ortiz? I gave Luis Ortiz every round versus Wilder up until he got stretched in the
That was the
12th.
best Luis Ortiz we ever seen
Yeah,
working
he
with
lost
Larry
a
Wade.
little bit of weight from the first Wilder fight. Ortiz was ready than a bit. You know what I mean? Who else?
That's the
Sean
thing,
Porter.
bro.
Bro, Sean Porter got a
When I
battery
seen
in his back, and Sean Porter's probably the first major guy that Larry Wade would frequently work with. And Sean Porter got that. He got a battery in his back. He don't.
Caleb Plant is with him too,
I said
also
that.
though, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Sean Porter don't get tired,
Yeah,
bro.
you just say that.
He got 12.
Yeah,
He got
Sean
12 rounds.
Porter's always in shape, bro. Like I
So
seen him shit in the gym the other day. He looked good and he looked good right now. But
yeah.
yeah, bro, like cause Rolly, like he's already athletic and strong and fit. You know what I'm
Yeah, you
saying?
look at
He can
Rolly's
do that.
legs. He got like pause, but Rolly got big calves and shit. You know what I mean? And that's good for generating power. Like David Tua, Pacquiao, all these big calf motherfuckers. Shout out to Rolly. Hey, last question, and don't give him too much because I gotta save this for a different video because I'm not gonna give him too much. This is the coldest ice show. You know, me and Iccy speaking on this boxing stuff, giving y'all that real. Joe Joyce just fought today. Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois. Thoughts? Go. Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois. If Dubois, I'm assuming he gets past his tune-up. What do you think of that matchup?
Dubois is going to destroy Joe Joyce in
Explain in
a
15 seconds, because I don't want to give him too much, because Dubois still got to get past his. Why is Dubois going to destroy
Dubois
him?
is younger, stronger, faster, and more explosive. Joyce is taller, longer,
He's
and
slower for
with
sure.
more amateur experience, but he's slower. He is not as explosive, and he's already 35 years old. He started too late, and I think Dubois has more fights, if I'm not mistaken. Dubois, bro, I do want to see this fight. I think it's gonna be dope, but I keep hearing people think it's gonna be like some heavyweight showdown or something. Dubois is gonna hurt that man bad,
I
in
think,
my opinion.
I do think, I want to see it a lot. I do think I would lean towards Dubois like you, but I think if Dubois hasn't been able to get him out of there within a certain amount of rounds, then that's what's going to be a problem. Because Joe Joyce seems durable, seems to have a chin, and he's a relentless pressure. So if Dubois gets tired You see what I'm saying? Like if you wail on a guy and you're used to getting him out, because Dubois, this is a step up in class for him too. So I would lean towards Dubois. I like Dubois a lot. I think Dubois kind of has more of an American style too. You know what I mean? Closer.
I've seen some UK guys with that recently, but I think I like Dubois a lot.
He just can't get tired basically with Joe Joyce, because Joe Joyce does have a relentless pressure. He has a really slow and awkward style, but he looks heavy-handed. You know,
I haven't seen him in there with a dude that's gonna like punch him, because I don't know how Joe Joyce is gonna react to Dubois' power.
Yeah, I mean, some guys you're not gonna just walk through this shit. That's just like Wilder. You can't just walk through that and just be like, all right, like, you know what I mean? So Dubois looks like he has like some serious power, where if he catches you clean, like I was just watching the Joe Joyce, he would get clean by this German dude. I don't even Michael Kraft Cheese or whatever his name was. Like he was getting caught clean, bro. He was getting caught clean with some right hands. Like if that was Dubois, that could spell trouble. But that's it for the show. Cold as ice. What do you have to say? Take us out, Iccy.
Shout out to the Army. Salute to everybody that be in the live streams and the chats. Everyone, I know we've got fights coming up, and people are disheartened about 2 of them being pay-per-views. I think 2 or 3 of them being pay-per-views. But if you do not want to pay full price for, pay-per-views, I don't know, do something. But please support these fighters. Please.
Definitely
gather people, have like a party, do something. If movie theaters are open in your area, go to a movie theater. $20 will usually get you the entire 4 or 5 hours.
Pandemic. Ain't no damn movie theater open in the pandemic.
Well, if you can't, do whatever you can to support these fighters.
The fight, for sure. And watch my man Rolly. He about to come back with a vengeance. Try to get that interim title, snatch that up. Yeah. I can't wait for Rolly's fight though. I'm type hype about Rolly's fight.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm really excited. It's gonna be dope.
Make sure you leave Iccy questions that you want him to answer in the next episode. So if you're watching this, I'm gonna put Iccy on the spot, because that's my man. Type some questions, put like Q question, : and ask Iccy some questions, and I'll have him answer some questions from the fans. Thank you for your time, Iccy. It's good talking boxing, real talk. And, we'll be back with some more heat. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.